This podcast is brought to you by Hoare Chartered Accountants. Hoare Chartered Accountants are based in Galway City and are a leading provider of audit, accountancy and taxation services. For more information, visit hoarecharteredaccountants.ie. Welcome along now to the Maroon and White pod. So essentially it's a must-win this weekend for Galway to stay in the championship. Now they can still get through if Dublin were to beat Derry, but they'll want to, I suppose, get off to winning ways in this group scenario, given they've lost a game to Dublin, drew with Derry, and now they face Armagh this Saturday. Armagh already through to the quarterfinal and top of this group, so they'll go through to the last eight automatically. So Galway will have a preliminary quarterfinal coming up next weekend, regardless of that. I'm joined by Armagh man Joe Kernan and former Galway footballer Seán O'Donnell to look ahead to the game. Before we get into it, I presume most Galway fans listening would have known that Seán and Joe worked together with the Galway senior footballers in 2010. Seán, first of all, when did you get the phone call from Joe, or how did it come about?
What a question. Jesus.
He rang me.
That's it. Jeez, I do remember. Brilliant. Listen, Jesus, 15 years ago now, think about it, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
I tell you, when you get a phone call saying that Joe Kernan is the new manager and would you be willing to be a selector, and Tom Naughton, another Galway legend, I tell you, you don't have to think about it very quickly. Like, you know, we're very unfortunate with injuries that year, Joe. If you remember back,
Yeah,
Nicky, Michael, and me, and just two alone, like, you know, two all-stars, I'd call it. But that's how it was, like. But what an experience. And Joe, I suppose, for me personally, like, I mean, that was the first time I saw the new generation of coaching at its best. Like, you know, McCluskey, you brought in that time, was, you mean, from a rugby background. And it was just a pity that wasn't given the proper opportunity because of the injuries we received that time. But that's life, like, you know. But it's we haven't won anything since either, Joe, so don't worry about it.
Well, you have those kind of championships are building up, but no, it was great. I got the backroom team I wanted, but the injuries sort of hit us when it mattered most. Like Michael and who else do we say there?
Nicky got into that time too. Yeah, he was playing very well. Nicky Joyce.
Yeah, I must say, Nicky, when we got the white boots off him, he was brilliant.
Yeah, took him a while.
No, there was some great footballers, and the whole of Galway was in transition at that time. But when you had Michael, me, and Nicky, and those boys there, you know, and a lot of good young players coming through, the under-21s were starting to go again, and one and all Ireland. So it would have been nice to do a bit longer, but in fairness, it was disappointing with the injuries, and we never did what we wanted to do.
True, yeah.
Did you know, Joe, before you came to Galway, that you wanted Seán and Tom Naughton as your selectors?
No, well, it was a bigger surprise to me that I was being asked to go to Galway than me asking Seán. But I had to sort of spread the net out then and see who was available. And I had to try and get people from different parts of the county. And sure, there's nobody further west than Seán there. So I said, that's a good man for that part of the world. And Tom sort of jumped out from nowhere. I played against Tom many moons ago, but I didn't really know him. But I thought there were two good characters, and you want characters in there. You want a backroom team that or a management team that'll get on well. And I must say, right or wrong, Seán, you, Tom, and I had a great time together. We worked well together. We enjoyed each other's company, and I knew that the two boys were passionate about Galway. And when I got talking to them for a while, I realised, yeah, I have two good men coming in. So no, bar winning. We really enjoyed each other's company and enjoyed working together, and we'll be friends for a long time.
That's for sure.
Seán, any good stories that jump out that or times you had with your Joe and Tom?
The only one, and I know Joe will remember this one as well, is the flight to New York and the bad turbulence and Tom and the praying for the cattle. Listen, it's a great story. Maybe not here on the podcast, but we laughed at it was probably one of the worst flights ever into New York regarding, and I laughed through the whole flight and getting off the plane. It was priceless.
Tom kept us entertained. Was that the weekend of the fog or was that the second trip to New York?
It was the
Was that the
second one,
first?
all right, but it was the first one, I think. That one, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then we had to travel around the world on the way home
Oh,
because of
that was
the
the one, yeah, through the ash cloud, yeah.
yeah.
And
Oh,
Joe,
yeah.
Great
Good
you
crack.
used
story. No,
to
no, listen, I think about, listen, anyone, all the Galway people would know the legend that Tom Naughton is from Annadown. And it's just that a legend, and we had some great battles from both sides, me fighting for the West, him for the North. And you were caught a few times, Joe, in the middle, say, what's wrong with you two? Like, you know. But it was a great experience for me, and it was just like, you mean, and I learned a lot, and from McCluskey, that, and John, and which I'm still in contact with too, like, and Joe. It was seeing the first time regarding how the game was developed, really from where I would have been in the noughties, and
Yeah,
how it evolved, and regarding the SNC and all that stuff, and the coaching, the analysis, and all that stuff. So it was a huge opener for me, and I was able to bring it kind of onto myself and my own club level here, and I mean, like that. So it was really enjoyable, and as Joe said, like, you mean, an experience I'll bring with me forever, and it was an honor to be asked to
yeah,
be a selector for Galway. Like, it's one of the things you'll always have on, say that you achieved, and you did. Again,
yeah,
with Joe, it's just a pity we weren't given the time, and if we had the full team and panel that was there, but that's life, and many other
yeah.
management team were in the same boat as us.
Yeah, correct. We
Joe,
shook hands on the way in and we shook hands on the way out.
And we had a good 1 or 2 nights in Crossmaglen too, so it
We
was
had,
in a Carrow, so that was it, and in Annadown, so good nights.
and Joe, you used to fly to Galway for trainings, is that right?
That's right. Yeah. Me and and the entourage that I had with me. You mentioned John McCluskey. John McCluskey was with me with Crossmaglen, my trainer, and Armagh and Ulster, and he was there with Ireland as well. So I sort of kept the people that I knew I could trust. And we had another man, a very very special man called Phil Glasgow. He's head of strength and conditioning. In Georgetown University, he also worked in the Olympics. He's the most amazing man in rehab that I've ever witnessed. And Pádraig Joyce and the boys would tell you he was one of those special boys. And then we had in Ulster Rugby strength and conditioning coach. Oh gee, I'm trying to think of his name now. Seán, can you help me?
Oh Jesus, you've lost me now, Joe.
Phil, wasn't Phil. I can't even, but we used to sneak him out of Ulster rugby
Right,
training
yeah.
at 2 o'clock, and he'd drive to Dublin, get on the plane with me, and we'd have him back in Dublin. Get a 7 o'clock flight in the morning. We'd have him back in Belfast for 9:30, 10 o'clock the next morning, and nobody
We
knew for
knew.
6 months where he was every Tuesday and Thursday evening.
You see the wealth of experience, like,
Oh,
just
brilliant,
unbelievable, unbelievable.
brilliant. And
What was
and
your
then
favorite memory, Joe, as Galway manager?
the facilities then that Galway had at that time was way ahead of everything. I'd seen, the whole setup at the county training ground, and
George, yeah.
yeah, it was unbelievable, and it all added to. It was like me trying to put a bit of a jigsaw together, and then you had it, and then unfortunately the injuries happened. You were just about to strike, or we felt, and then you were losing the most important people of all, which was players.
And what was your favorite moment, Joe, as Galway manager?
Let me see. I'd like to have been more. It was important that we stayed in Division One. I know we only won 3 matches in the league that year, but we stayed up, and that was important for us the following year, or whoever was coming in. But it was just working and being accepted. It's very hard to go somewhere uh, and wonder, was I never felt this before, because I was always with my club or my county or Ulster, so I never went outside my own territory really, because but the most important thing was me. I was made feel welcome, and I felt at home there, and I was made welcome by everybody. And I must say the supporters were, while it wasn't nice when we didn't win, and the matches that we lost were hard to take, and I'm a bad loser at the best of times. And even last year, after last year's All Ireland final, I was outside the hotel in Croke Park, and there was more Galway people come over and shook hands. There was as many Galway people as there was Armagh people, and to me, that was very important, that people respected you for what you wanted to do or what you tried to do, and the reason you were there. And to me, that was one of the most important things.
Yeah, great stuff. Great to hear some of those stories. And for your time involved with Galway, Sean, it's bit of nerves now this weekend as Galway fans make or break. We can't be relying on that Dublin Derry game. Really, it's just simple go out and win this, and we're into the next phase of the competition.
Well, it's as simple as that. Like, you know, a draw or loss in Cavan, and we're dependent on Dublin beating Derry, and it's as simple as that. I suppose we look back on the Derry game, which I suppose was the last game we played, and actually looking at, like, I mean, God, we were 8 down twice in that game, 8 points down, and we did the kind of the Hail Mary recovery, and then we look at it, then we could have won it and we should have won it, and Derry come back with a point. But it's kind of worrying times, I suppose. I'm going back to really in the kind of final, which was a brilliant occasion afterwards, and being there, and the excitement and the support that was in Castlebar that day for that Galway team. It brought me back to myself and when playing for Galway in the late 90s and the early 90s when we were very successful. But then when you, in hindsight, you analyze the game, and it's a curse that we have. You know yourself, Joe, you start analyzing games. We bet a very mediocre Mayo team on the day who had 14 men in the last 10 minutes, and we were lucky to come out with the win. Then we go on then after that, and I suppose we were against a Dublin team. We're coming down. We brought out a Crow Park, and again, we're a wounded Dublin team, I suppose, after the Leinster final against Meath, semi-final against Meath. But to me, really, what it was is, again, we have the players, but we don't seem to be that little bit of an ingredient, or that missing jigsaw is missing. Now, a lot of the players will say, and I suppose punters and analysts will say that Shane Welch is not back, Damien Comer's not back, and we're not going well, midfield's not going well. But it's been there for a while, and Joe will tell you as well, when you look back at the All-Ireland against Armagh, it's kind of been gradually moving on in the league. You could see it's been there. We just don't seem to find the settled team. Just when you think it's nearly there, we've got a great solid thing around the middle, we come down with a bang. It's like one step forward, 2 steps back. Against now we're playing an Armagh team, and a lot of talk in West here is they're already through. They'll put out a second team. Listen, Joe, you're long enough there, and you know Geezer better than anybody. No manager's going to put out a second team. They don't want to lose, and they just want to win this game. So if Galway are to come out of Cavan and Breffni Park with a win, we're going to have to play the best football we've played this year. We're going to have to play better than we played in the All-Ireland, because Armagh are not there playing us to lose. They know that. Now, it could be what we needed in Galway, a good kick up the bum in a scenario where, listen, if we want to be contenders, if we want to be back in the senior championship, we're going to have to prove and tell everybody we're there. The game against Derry was a lottery. We shouldn't have won. Simple as that. Now, it showed, like, the likes of Matthew Tierney showing great, again, the leader that he is. And I find that he plays his best football when our other leaders are on the pitch, and we need him and the other lads playing to the top. And if we are, we will win. If we're not, if we play to 70% we're doing, we will be out of the championship, and relying on a Derry team who first result in 10 championship matches was against us. That really sums up Derry, really, in my eyes, how good they are. They're not a bad team, but they're a team that don't have confidence.
Hopefully now Joe's about to tell us that Armagh are going to play a second team. They've all their eyes on the last 8, and they're not worried about this weekend at all.
I'd be telling you lies if I said that now, so I'm not going to tell you lies. I'll go back to Galway this year. In my eyes, from an outside looking in, if Galway had to beat Dublin by a point and they did beat Mayo in the final, those 2 results wouldn't be that bad. Dublin had an exceptional day by the standards they've set this last 12 months. Local derbies are always going to be close. Like, we've been in Ulster this last few years and lost matches we should have won, and it's how you come out of them. Teams are a lot closer. I think most of the teams, there's 6 or 7 teams there in with a chance if Everton went, if they play well on the day. And that's the one thing that Galway have to do, and Seán said it. Galway have to put all their eggs in one basket on Saturday and give a performance that they threaten to do, that is within them. You know, everybody knows the ability to have, but they've never put it together nearly since last year's game against Dublin, when they beat them. So from Armagh's point of view, I think we're in a better position than we were this time last year. I think the game in Sligo saved us last year, and I think it was detrimental to Galway. Galway was winning easy, 5-6 points, and we got back into the game and got a draw, and it gave us an awful lift, give us an easier quarter final. But now I think our squad is better. They're more experienced. They're calmer. They have a great belief in themselves, which they didn't have up until that Galway match last year. And things started to change for them then. And I think Kieran will play a few boys. There's a few boys, the likes of Niall Grimley, maybe Greg McCabe, Joe McElroy. There's 3 or 4 boys coming back there. Colm O'Neill, who played really well in the league and then's gone missing for a while with a bit of an injury. So there's 3 or 4 boys there that he might play this weekend. Now, they're that competitive at the moment that they'll cut each other's throat to get in. So nobody is going to be picked this weekend for Armagh and not give 100%. So, but Galway, can they improve? Of course they can. I'm looking forward to a good match. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go back to my old favourite draw at the end of it, which could save Galway if it comes to it. But Armagh will be chawing at the bit to get at this game. They're something in them now as champions, and they're starting to perform as champions and believe in themselves as champions.
Yeah, and I even think the big thing, if you look at Galway and Armagh over the last few years, All Ireland last year, Armagh were the better team on the day, but like Seán, Sligo, we were in control against them, and Kernan Shannon the year before that in control against them.
Yeah, that's where we're starting to be a different team. We're becoming ruthless, and we're finishing teams off. Now, with saying that, Ulster semi-final against Derry, we had the game won, or against Tyrone, and we near lost it. In the Ulster final, we were there. We come back in twice and let it go. So there is that wee question. And against Dublin the last day, Dublin missed 17 shots, which is unheard of in their terms. So we're opening the door. People say we can step it up, but if the other team steps it up, I think it can be close. So it's what Galway brings to the table. I know what Armagh is going to take to it. What Galway team's going to turn up with this weekend, and that's the challenge to the Galway players. Have they got the ability? Of course they have. Have they got the players? Yes, they have. It's time to turn it on, and I'm hoping for a great game of football.
Seán, coming to you, on the Galway starting 15. Conor Gleeson in goals for you this weekend?
Porrick seems he doesn't make that much changes. Like Gleeson seems to be his number one, and he's going to keep him there. It's probably not his best season. He's been renowned for maybe one serious mistake per match at this stage. We look on from last year and the winning point against Mayo. He has been showing a bit of frailties at this season. And listen, he's normal, he's human like that. He'll never be up to the level as we're talking to the Cluxton, the Morgans, and these, because they're just extraordinary. And even Rafferty for Armagh, it's just a different level. We need him to be that extra better than he was. I'm hoping myself this weekend that the pain of last year's All-Ireland is fresh in these guys' minds. And to me, defeat is something that it's a bit of something extra you bring into the game, because they should remember how they felt after the game where Armagh showed the XD and of winning that All-Ireland after Joe being the last manager doing it. And then so I hope these guys, all these players, and you're talking Gleeson and the rest of McGrath and Mulkieran, all these guys in the backs, that they feel the pain of July, sorry, it's funny we take September, of last July, that they understand that this is their All-Ireland final, because if we lose this, we're gone. That's it. We're reliant on Derry, but we shouldn't be there. But I suppose going back to your question there, Porrick doesn't seem to make huge changes. He's got his favourite players who he's backed all season. I like to see a few changes.
Up the back six?
Pardon?
Would you switch up the backs this weekend?
He's not going to change much. You're talking again, McGrath, Mulkieran, Glenn, Silk, Kelly, McHugh. He's not going to change. If there is one, it's due to an injury. I suppose, again, I hate mentioning it, Conroy, player of the year, he's been found out in the scenario where they know if they push up on him, don't give him the opportunity to a two-pointer, the quick pass, hot game. He's found that maybe like he's finding it. He doesn't have his 75 minutes in him at this stage where he had done before, like, you know. And listen, the guy has to answer to nobody. He's achieved everything, player of the year. I like to see Cookie from McCullen maybe starting. I think he's got a lot. He's had a few games. He brings something different into us. To me, it's going to be Conroy Maher again. Maher isn't living up to its huge, I suppose, the level he was last year. I suppose he came under the radar last year and we weren't expecting it, and he was outstanding and an all-star, and if anyone delayed. And I suppose now it's harder, they always call it the second season syndrome, where we're expecting not only what we got last year, but more. And it's hard because the new rules have been absolutely brilliant. And if anything, and Joe probably knows better from his management background, the fitness, the skill level, it's just in between the years. It's a new game. And that's what I love about these new rules, where every manager started with the same rules, same systems, because they're trying to tweak it. And I suppose where Galway kind of managed the system there, we're at a system now where hoping for Shane Welch to be super fit, because we know what type of football he is. Killian McDade, Finnerty, and we don't have them. Damien coming off the bench. We don't have these guys at 75 minutes, which we need. So I suppose Armagh way settled. The Galway team aren't settled, and we need them settled at this stage.
Who are your six starting forwards this weekend?
I think Thompson, listen, I'm already with the team that he had. Like, I mean, I'd love to see Cookie starting. I like Shea Welch again, he brought off, he shows such class. He shows such grace with these passes, but then he's out of it for 15 minutes. Like, you know, he'll go with Thompson, McDade, O'Neill. Darcy will probably come in maybe instead of O'Neill. Kenzie took him off, so you're talking Darcy will be in there again. Tierney, probably Finnerty then, and Shea Welch again, unless he brings Cookie in instead of Tierney, like, you know.
So you don't see many changes to the Derry team?
Well, he deserves to start, like, I mean, he should be there. But again, this is where Porrick goes, like, I mean, where are we coming from? Like, of course, Matthew Tierney was our best player up against Derry, like, you know. But again, it's all based on this Armagh team. He didn't play well in the final last year. So again, if horses for courses, some team players, like the Armagh style of the players, they're in your face. They do know the danger of players that Galway have. And Matthew Tierney, whatever about Derry, he is going to be rashed up against Armagh. So again, you see Porrick might change that around too, but like he will start Matthew Tierney in there, like, I mean, Finnerty and Shane Welch again. But then again, Shane Welch mightn't start this time, like, you know. So there will be one or two changes. I expect that whatever team is named will not start, and that's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, I think it's a weekend where we can't really be holding anyone back this weekend.
100%, you see, but he will hold back. Porrick, you see, he's not going to show his full set of hand. Again, we've had a scenario where injuries and stuff like that. Like, does he put out Damien Comer full forward? You mean they tried it last year? It doesn't work. You know, that kind of way. We can't afford to have Damien or Shea Welch on for a half an hour and then taking them off. You know, that kind of scenario. Like, that's another problem. Like, we need everybody out there. And if they're coming off, it's not because they're injured, it's because they've worked their socks off for 15 minutes and the guys coming on, which we do have. We have good guys coming on that can do a change, but it will not be easy. And it's a game that I'm not confident, and I hate saying that. I wouldn't be confident. It's in Cavan. A pitch that Armagh would know well. Breffni, they know it very well, know it way better than us. So it's like their backyard. So we really, really have to be All-Ireland winners standard to beat this team. And they're the All-Ireland champions. Simple as that, Armagh.
Was there an element that Armagh didn't want to travel to Connacht venue again this year, Joe?
I don't know about that, but I just want to go on one thing that Seán said there. Seán talked about hurt. This present Armagh team was built on hurt, on losing matches, and that pain. You know what I mean? I can still hurt over matches that I lost in my time, and that's a long, long time ago. This should be red hot and very sore with the Galway players last year, what happened and where they are now and what happened this year, and to have a chance to redeem themselves. And if they come out with that hurt, and I think with the difference in the game last year, right, Comer didn't play well in the final last year. It was a tighter game and more defences were packed. There's going to be space if Galway can get the ball in earlier and Comer in at the full forward line. I think if it 1v1 or 2v1, I think he could cause us big problems this year because of the space. You know, if it is not just to win it to get a free or maybe get a score. So I think if he doesn't start, he definitely will be in a lot sooner, and it will cause us problems. But once again, what is Galway going to take to the game? And we're going to see that before the match starts, and we're going to see it in the first 5 minutes, and that's going to tell everybody either they are up for a battle or they're going to gracefully go out.
Like, I'd be amazed too, Joe, like yourself. Like, I mean, there's a lot of like, I'll call it hate, but not in the word kind of hate regarding between these two teams. Like, they have history now in the last couple of years between the penalties, and we know what's been in the press and all that stuff. So if 13 men finish this game on the next on what it goes early, I'd be amazed, because you know this is going to be a hard hitting, high tension game. There's going to be blood spilled here, that's what the G is all about, like, to spill blood. And you're right, Joe. This is going to be a high intensity, passion game. Hurt from the Armagh side, but serious hurt from the Galway side, and controlled anger.
Yeah.
Hopefully, like, I wanted to make sure everyone finishes the game, but if they do, I'd be amazed.
Yeah. No, it's. I think we've set it up fairly well here now. It's up to them to go. It's up to them to go and provide the goods for us.
This will not be a challenge match. Not even
No,
close.
definitely not.
One
And a
player,
whole referee.
one player, Joe, you're obviously not going to rest is Rian O'Neill, because as good as he was against Dublin, he's probably a player who needs games for Armagh as well this year.
Yeah. I think he's, for somebody that's been out from an All-Ireland final last year, it's amazing the way he's come back in and fitted in. Naturally, his fitness levels won't be as good, and I don't think they'll overdo it. Taking him off the last day was a good idea, because, you know, that last 10, 15 minutes, if somebody isn't 100%, you can finish up getting an injury after being out for a long time. But to have him there, that reassurance for a free kick or some of those points that he can pop over, or hit those 40, 50-yard passes, or catch a ball in the square when your backs are to the wall. So, no, it's great to have him back, and hopefully he can continue on the way he left off.
Would you see Armagh resting any players in particular this weekend?
The likes of Ross McQuillan there, or Charlie Ogue maybe. Ben Creeley has done well after coming back from a long time out with injury as well. Rory Grugan, you know, there's a lot of miles on the clock there. Rory might be one of the boys come in, but the likes of all the rest. Andrew Murnan is another one that maybe might get a bit of a rest. He unfortunately was injury prone for years, but thank God this last 18 months he's been very good. So there's two or three. Conor Torbett might start. He didn't play well the last day by his own standards, and I think he needs a bit of a confidence booster. And if he could start and do well, that'd be an extra player you'd have fighting for a place for the next day for the quarter final. But defensively, I think no. Bar Ross and maybe Charlie Ogue, all the rest should nearly be the same.
But you know too, Joe, like, none of those players want to be rested. Simple as that.
Not a chance.
If the geezer says to one of these guys, you mention them, we're going to rest you, they're going to lose the block, because they know they're giving another player an opportunity to take their jersey. So no one's going to be saying, listen, I feel injured. Like, I mean, I don't see any much changes at all, unless, as Joe said, there is an injury coming into this, and it's a medical decision, not a football decision.
Yeah, like, we don't know. I don't know. You don't know exactly what's happening in the Galway camp and training, and I don't know what's happening in the Armagh camp. There could be somebody who maybe had a rest up during the weekend. They might say to him, right, we're not starting you this weekend. If we need you, we'll take you on, or whatever. But that's as far as it'll go. But you're 100% right. Everybody wants to play every day, and that's just the nature of the beast. And especially when it's coming to the best time of the season, 3 or 4 matches to go.
And again, as Joe, you know, like, no manager wants to kind of, when you're on a winning kind of crust, there's no way you want to change a team. Like, you see the soccer Premiership team, they'll keep the same teams always because it's going well. And it's not a 15-man anymore, it's a 24 panel, and that's what's there, 25 panel, and you can see it, like. And I suppose that's where maybe poor Porrick is being kind of hit this year. He's never been able to put out his full strength panel. There's always been 1 or 2 injuries, or not being able to play Damien when he wanted him. Like, we're coming to the, as I say, the business side of the championship, and he's kind of, we still don't have it. We don't, I think Damien's probably still only about 70%. When you're not able to bring it, even to name him on the subs only till last week, you know that decision he's only about 70%. But
yeah,
Damien is, if you get 10, as Joe said, if you put him in full forward and start throwing high ball in, he can cause hassle. Now, we didn't do it last year against Armagh in the final. The only ball he was getting was in the corner, and it didn't work for us, like, and
yeah,
again, that was a possession game. New rules, he can do damage in there, and we know
that's
that.
right. Yeah, there's space now.
Seán, I'm going to disagree with you on one thing on the team you picked. And
I think, gee, there was no need for that.
John Daly has to start.
So who would you take? I'll put it back to you then. Who do you draw?
What I do there is
Someone has to go.
Yeah, I'd go Johnny McGrath, Sean Kelly, Liam Silk in the full-back line. Then half-back line, I'd go Dylan McHugh, John Daly, Daniel O'Flaherty.
No, I have to admit, like, I agree with you 100%. I find that Galway Daly fully fit is a huge asset, especially in centre half back. Now, I'm going to ask you.
We don't have a kick passer there at the minute. Like, on the transition.
Yeah, 100%. Now, if I'm asking you the question back, I'm going to do what your job is. Do you see that happening against Armagh?
I think the Derry game, there was enough to say there that they're going to have to shake this up a bit.
Yeah.
It's make or break, and I don't think they can go with the same thing again. Because
well, I agree, but he doesn't change Porrick. He doesn't change much. And that's where I'm basing my kind of. Porrick knows that too, but he's not going to shake it up too much, because any manager knows that. Like, again, we don't know. They probably would have played an in-house game themselves. But I agree with you. I think Galway plays way, way better with Daly. I think Kelly himself is a better full back. He did it, but the problem is he likes going forward. With the new rules, you have to keep three back. He can't do that. He can't go forward because of the three-man. It doesn't suit him. It does suit him in the centre half-back line, because you can go forward, then you have your three-man. So the new rules is kind of keeping the cuss on some players. Same as Liam Silk. He's a man that likes going forward. We saw that against Mayo. We saw it against Dublin. He found position. But if he's in the full three-man full back line, you are man marking, and you must stay inside your own 65. So the cuss is broken there. But you've named some great players there, Paul, and I agree with you. I have to admit, I do agree with you, but I suppose there's what I would love and you would love as pundits, where we love to see who go there and what's happening and what he's done. But I know, do you think, Joe, there, would you do that much changes in a game like this where you're still in it? Don't forget,
yeah.
It's kind of a strange. I agree with you, but he hasn't done that many changes. He'll do one change or two. Trust me on that one. And the team he names will not be the team that will be actually coming out against Armagh.
And like all tight matches like this, somebody says, well, we'll play it safe early on to see how we're getting on, and then we'll start to bring new bodies in and see where the openings might occur, or where we see a weakness, or and if we're holding them, we'll be happy enough to stay in the game, and then let's go for it. But then Armagh do the same thing near the end. We keep it tight for a lot of the time, and then we take on 3 or 4 subs and we just go at it.
Yeah, because I'm looking at
you have to be there. You have to be there with them.
Yeah.
You have to be close or ahead to be able to do that, to open up near the end.
Like, Daly came on with 10 minutes to go, well, probably 15. You put injury time against Derry, like, and it was really, you still, when you analyse it at the end of the day, the 8 points, it was like there were 2 very lucky goals that saved us, like, And again, he's coming back from injury, like, regarding the pace of this new game. It's just another level again, because it's just pure intensity, running, covering with the new rules that are going there. Like, see, I think the cornerbacks love being back now, because they don't have to go out so far regarding the scenario, and the forwards have space. Well, you're talking half forward, midfield, half back line. You are serious an athlete, because the amount of yards you have to cover. But listen, Paul, I agree. I have to admit, I do. I'd love to see that big change. But I don't see that happening in a do or die match here at this one. If he was going to do it, he would have done it last week against Derry, where a team that wouldn't be that confident. But when you're playing a team like Armagh, All-Ireland champions, serious confidence, And again, as I say, these guys, like, I agree with Joe. They would see Galway as kind of an animal that they don't want to see in the latter championship. They don't. Put them out now. Who they rather play, Derry or Galway? They'll rather play Derry any day.
Yeah, I don't know if you agree with me here, but I just think if you look at Armagh, like they're bringing Stephen Campbell in, they're bringing these players like in.
Oh,
I think we could sort of take something from that. I'd like to see Mayor Darcy in midfield and a half forward line of Thompson, Tierney, Cook, and inside Finnerty, Comer, Walsh, and then hold McDade Conroy for the last 20 minutes here.
yeah, and that's what I would love to see too. A fresh Conroy coming on, you know, that kind of way where he's absolutely lethal on those 2-pointers. But Porrick hasn't seen that all year, or I'm not going to say Porrick, his management team, because I thought that was going to be the scenario this year where Conroy, he would be like Soup Campbell coming on. I mean, that just that energy, you know what I mean? And even not even that, lifting the crowd, you know, that kind of way, Joe, you know yourself, where a star like Conroy, where we think, yes, something's going to happen. And when you see him coming off, you're kind of like, your heart drops, like, you know, that kind of scenario. But it's, I really do hope, I see changes, and the ones you're talking about, like Comer and like Cook coming. I want to see Peter Cook on. I think he gives us that bit of, he changes the direction of Galway. I think again he's missed a lot of football, but like you as well, like I think, like it's as you know, you go with your heart and your head. My heart wants to see these changes, and you're watching the same amount of games as we are, but the head saying I cannot see that happening, because who will be the first people to give stick to PJ? Where was he going doing all these changes? We weren't that far off it against Dublin. We weren't that far off it against Derry. We weren't far that off it. So I can't see it happening.
Yeah.
The one player that's impressed me watching in is Darcy, especially now the way the kickouts. There's not as many short kickouts. There's more 50-50 balls around the middle of the field, and he's the colossus in there where he can go to squap and win that ball. You know, and that would take a lot of the pressure off Paul Conroy if he was given a wee bit more of a freedom role when he did come on, or if he was on, and just leave 2 men round the middle that's going to do that bit of dogging, especially from kickouts from both sides.
Like, we forget Armagh is serious, like with, you know, Joe, like with Duffy and Creedy, they're serious 2 like midfielders at this stage, like, you know, where they are, like, so. And then you have Charlie Og as well, like around there. That diamond Armagh have.
Yeah.
They're tried and tested, and they have come out on top every time, like, and they're, God forgive me, I hate saying it, they're like wine, they're getting better, the buggers.
Yeah. They seem to be, they are improving, and they're playing well together as a team. They're playing off each other. They're reading each other's game all the time now. We win a lot of dirty ball around the middle, and all of a sudden there's somebody, Charlie or Ross McQuillan, away like a racehorse down the wing, free with the ball, you know. So, yeah, there's a lot of those things, but still the kick out, like some of the games we've seen, it was just kick it out to the middle and let them kill each other going for it. And that's where the likes of Darcy could cause us problems and probably help Galway. He's that big and that strong.
I was chatting to someone last week about the Galway Armagh teams that played in the final, and we are kind of both saying Galway's team is more or less the same. Bear Matthew Thompson, he's in more or less. It's been the same. Now you have your obviously Comer's missed a few games on Walsh, but like more or less it has been the same. Armagh, I think it's only something like 9 or 10 starters. They've freshened it up with 4 or 5, and even if you're looking like Darren McMullen in the half forward line this year has been really impressive. They brought kind of a new energy into this team, Joe.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, Darren was a very young lad. He's only 20 now, and I think he's the next Rory Grugan. You know, he's that type of player on the ball. He can carry it. He can draw men. There was a great score against Dublin. He drew 2 Dublin boys and just popped the ball over them for Soupy to run on and get a score. You know, you were talking earlier on about Soupy coming. When Soupy starts to warm up, you can hear the volume raising from our supporters. So it could be the same with Paul. If people seen Paul coming on and the game close with 10 or 15 minutes to go, you know you have a man that could pop the ball over from 40, 50 yards.
The thing about that too, Joe, as you said yourself, like when Soupy comes on, I always love watching the opposition management, because all of a sudden they start thinking that the third dimension. Oh, what do we do now? Where is he coming on? And that's when the likes of Damien Comer and Shane Welch and Paul Conroy, you're actually forcing the opposition to change because of this. Now,
Right.
I know like the management now they've all the kind of, as I say, scenarios covered. If this person comes on and this person comes on, we change it. But when you're into the 60th, 65th minute of a match, maybe the guy that was supposed to pick him up is already off, or he's come on and someone else. So that's why that's what I love about this game, the last 15 minutes, because all tactics, everything goes out the window.
Out the window.
Tiredness, legs, and then as I say, the cream rises to the top then. And this is where the likes of Soupy Campbell, these guys love coming on because it's a new game. And this is where Galway, I suppose, haven't been showing it this latter part of the championship. We're relying on the match of clans. The guys coming on haven't been, I suppose, been as effective as other teams, subs are coming on. And I'm hoping this weekend we see a change there. And you mentioned Daly there, Paul. Like, again, I'd love to see him come on a bit earlier or starting, as you said yourself, and given that opportunity to actually, we know how good he is. He's a class act, and we know what he's done. And he's been kind of ravaged by injuries and unlucky this year coming in, but we know what he can do, and a class act. But if he starts or comes on, he will have to be class to be effective against this good Armagh team.
It's a massive incentive though for Galway to win this weekend, because you're even looking at this 3 weeks in a row now. So you could have Armagh, and given the way, even if you look at that Donegal group, if Donegal and Tyrone win, Tyrone will go through to the quarter-final because they have Donegal on the head-to-head. So Galway could end up, if they were not to get a result and finish in third place here, they could end up getting Donegal in a preliminary quarter-final. And that's even if you're to get past that, then you have the quarter-final coming up. So I just think all out has to go for second place this weekend. And if they don't get it and Dublin win, at least they tried, and at least they're back to winning ways.
Well, you're 100, but if you tell Porrick Joyce today, would you take third place? He'd bite your hand off. It's all about the scenario. We need a result here, 100%. Now, again, we're not playing. I'm not going to name another team because it'd be disrespectful for them. We're playing the best team in Ireland at this moment in time. That's the way you have to look at it. They're the All-Ireland champions for a reason. Again, they've been watching video analysis. Again, we don't know what the story about Galway is. But you're right. But if you tell Porrick you finished third, when you're at that stage, if you want to win the Sam Maguire, you're going to have to beat the best. And be it Donegal, Tyrone, Armagh, Dublin, Mayo, whoever's there, Kerry, you're going to have to beat them sometime. Armagh had a great opportunity here to get a big hitter out of this game. It's like the baseball, get one of the big hitters out here. And that's a great carrot. And there's no love between these two counties. We all know that, which is brilliant for us supporters. But it's we need to be we need to play, as I keep mentioning, what we haven't done this season yet. And
what do you want to see, Seán? What do you want to see at the weekend that you haven't seen this year?
I suppose I want to see a 70-minute high-intensity, full-panel game. Now, which is not easy to do. You see teams doing it, and the guys aren't coming off because they're not performing. It's because they've given the 100%, and the guy coming on is just taking over. I don't want to see guys coming off because they're playing second fiddle to an Armagh player. No, that's my wish. And will it happen? It's hard to call, but the reason I'm saying that is if we're to be successful up in Breffni, we need the Galway team doing that. Now, we have the players and we have the sideline. We have to do that.
And Joe, do you think there's anything in Armagh being qualified this weekend?
No. That's just something that's sitting on the back burner there. Armagh want to win every match, and the record they have over the last 2 or 3 years of never losing in normal time. It's in extra time they've lost a lot of matches or penalties or whatever the case might be. This team wants to make records, and this team wants to be about for another few years. There's a hunger in them now, and in fairness to Kieran, he's driven probably as much and maybe more than they are, and now they're starting to be driven the way he always drove himself.
I don't think it's impossible either that Derry could beat Dublin at the weekend.
Yeah. Derry are a funny side. They went backwards after a good start last year, and it took them a long time to sort themselves out. And like everybody else, they got a few injuries too. But in our game, we were lucky. If you to tell us at the start of the league that Galway would be going to the last match looking to survive in this, you wouldn't have believed it. And with Armagh, you would have said, would Derry run them close? Derry probably could have beat us only for our keeper on the day. 5 goal chances they made in the last 15 minutes. They scored 2 and they could have had another 3 only for brilliant saves. We could be in a dodgy situation here this weekend ourselves. So, you know what I mean? There's situations happen every match, and let it be a referee's decision, let it be an injury or something that will happen this week and next weekend, that could put somebody out that hadn't planned to go out this early in the championship.
Yeah, I just think Derry will take a big amount of confidence. I know they probably let it slip against Galway, but still, what they scored and in control, and if Dublin don't have Con in Newry as well, I just think it's not
Yeah.
impossible at all, Sean.
Derry will be very happy with their last 2 performances, bar
Yeah.
not winning them. What they did to the 2 teams, they certainly will look back and say, right, we're not far away. Can we get more? And if their confidence improves, and the way they can play, the tenacity that they bring to the game, and they have good footballers. Like McGuigan hasn't really shown anywhere yet. If he hits form, he's able to score 110. You know what I mean? So it's far from. They'll be going up the road to Newry thinking, well, we're in with a shout here. And Dublin are out of Croke Park once again. We'll see what happens.
Derry haven't had a competitive win in 2025. Don't forget that was the first point they did against Galway. So Paddy Talley is a proud man. This Derry team are a proud team. They don't want to go this season without actually winning a match. You know that, and you know that's their goal. And there's a card for them. You know everybody wants to beat this brilliant Dublin team. Be it they're missing some of the stars they've had. But it's a huge, and going up to Newry, or go down to Newry, they've no fear, this Derry team, and they'll feel hard done, even though they did scrape the win at the end, but they'll show character to get that point at the end, to get the draw. And that's what's kept them in. That's why it's called a group of death. You could see it, you have 4 unbelievable teams. Now, Armagh can, as I say, do the stretch back on the armchair for themselves, but they're not. They're going to take this as serious now as they did the first game. Against Derry, and Joe's 100% correct. So, like your man, what do you call it, Rafferty, was outstanding that day, and he was the man of the match that day. But this is what I love, because this is why the rules, this game, the GA, these teams, it's look at us. We're talking, we're hoping, wishing, naming dummy teams who I love. That's brilliant, and this is what we want. But it's just such a shame. You're going to have some good teams already out of the championship, and we're only on the second week of June. That's what's scandalous in my thing, where they'll be able to go to concerts in August in Croke Park, but we won't be able to watch our heroes and our stars, and that's the way it's gone. But we'll see what we can change. Maybe what'll happen.
Are you going to Oasis, Sean?
No, I'm not. Never I was a Stone Roses man. Couldn't listen to the Oasis. Are you going?
Not if I was getting them for free, would I go?
Yeah, and then Joe will tell you he was probably at the first concert ever, Neil Diamond, were you?
No, I wasn't at Neil Diamond. No,
I thought you might have been at the first one.
Oh, that's right. I was at Neil Diamond.
There you go.
Depends shouting in here. We were. That's right.
There you go. There's a bit of history for you there, Paul.
Yeah.
But it's just when you're saying that, Sean, just have to look after. We have to look after our own house this weekend, and. This Derry game is just irrelevant, and the players and management and everyone will know that as well.
100%. You talked about the G and the whole. Are we talking about our own game? Or are you talking about Galway?
I'm just talking about the Galway Armagh game. This Dublin Derry game, it's irrelevant.
Well, listen. The only time when the game is over, whatever manager will be just listening. If Galway win, they won't be listening. If Galway lose, there'll be someone on the radio. Did you know there'll be someone there saying how that game is going? There's enough people there. There'll be someone from the county board. But Kieran McGinney doesn't care. Their management team, they're just looking at his own team. But for Pádraig, there's one goal. They need a result up there. They need a result up in Breffy, and that's what it is. Now, we scraped and we got a result up in Derry. We need a result. Be it a draw or a win, that's what we win. And this is where we're coming from. And we can do it. And Joe knows it. Listen, there's nothing between these teams. That's what I mean. It's a drop of a ball or a mistake or someone a black card or someone getting sent off. It'll be something like that, And I'm really looking forward to this game, because it's just there's something about this game, because the 2 teams in the All-Ireland final last year, right? And we all know about that game. The new rules now, how it's evolved, developed. McGeeney and PJ being good friends going back years and all that stuff. It's just what more could you want as a neutral, as a supporter? This is the game, and it's just brilliant, and I love it. It's just a pity because if we don't get a result, to see this Galway team at what they've given us in the last couple of years not continuing on, and all the good work, that I think we're at that crossroad now where winning, we can go to the next level. Losing, it's like 2 steps back, and there'll be a lot of questions, there'll be a lot of post-mortems if we lose.
Yeah, and a win here could spark Galway season into life.
100%. And the players you mentioned, if they do get their chance, you mean it's their, I love to be here talking, and again the next week he's saying, geez, Paul, you're correct. Geez, that these guys are coming on and all that stuff, and that's what I'm hoping for.
Joe, how do you see it going?
Yeah, it's a funny game because one team is not supposed to care about the result. Doesn't make any difference. And the other team, your life depends on it. But that's typical of the GAA to give us, to turn up with a match like this, that it means everything to one team and supposedly nothing to the other team. We'll have 20,000 plus Armagh supporters there, and they will be wanting Armagh to win. And you'll hear them. And every Armagh player will give everything that they have. I'll call a draw here now and be the devil.
A draw, yeah.
A draw. Going to keep you on your toes
Let's
to
get
the
off
very
that
end.
It's easy for him to say a draw, you see. If he needs to say that.
Yeah.
We're happy.
That's exactly, yeah.
But
They want to
Seán,
keep the
you
Galway
said
public happy.
the closeness of these teams over the last 3 or 4 years, you know, that's what makes me say that it'll be close again.
Yeah, Seán, how do you see it going?
We talk about the heart and the head. It's a hard one now, Paul. I've been asked you to hear now regarding if the roles were reversed. I'd be like Joe. I'd be saying a draw. But I have this thing where a lot of us Galway supporters after the All Ireland saying we didn't play to our best that day and we were the better team. Now Joe will argue with that one. We'll say if our guys played and all that stuff. And I know Kieran McGeeney would probably use that. These guys said, you know, this, and they'll use that themselves in a scenario like to be a great team, we need to win this. I'm very scared of this game. I'll be honest with you, Paul. And I suppose if you're playing, you can do something about it. I like Joe. I cannot see us getting a result here. Let's be honest. If we do get a win here, we'll have to show something we haven't shown all year. Meaning a full 70 minutes. We've done it. We did it against Derry. We played 10 minutes here. We did it against Mayo. And my worry, we're out of Connacht. We're up in Cavan. It's a scary one. Again, when I see the team named, I'll be probably better. I hate going against my county, but I find it hard to see us getting a result here. And that's been, I say we'll be reliant on the Dublin-Derry game. That's what I'm saying. We're relying on Derry to get a result.
I think Galway win by 3 points.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What team are you picking? Is that
I'm
the team
picking
that's
the
going
team I
out?
picked.
He's picked his own
I'm
team.
picking the team I picked.
There you
Yeah.
go. No, that's what you see. And now I have to admit, if you were telling me that was the team, I'd be kind of saying, yeah, I'd be more confident. I'm basing on what I've seen today, the team that are starting, the guys that aren't playing, the guys coming on, what's he going on? That's what I'm basing it on. If he goes, changes a big change and it wins, that's a different story. So I'll use my pundit head. I'll say I could see Armagh winning by a point or a draw.
Yeah.
I knew I'd turn you around.
I'm going on the team that's playing with confidence. You know, that kind of way, that team. Yeah. You could see an Armagh team not playing well. They know how to get a result. Now we could say the same about Galway against Derry, but I'm looking at that Derry team. Dublin scared me, and Mayo scared me in a scenario where we showed our frailties. And then this Armagh team, as you said, the new players coming in, they're showing that bounce. But hopefully the guys we're talking about, the Dailies, the Cookie and Darcy and these guys, you know what I mean? They showed the hunger. They showed feel the pain of the last July's Ireland final, and they do it. If they do, we will get a win. And I have no problem saying that on that scenario. But based on form and what's going on, I have to go with Armagh.
Yeah, hopefully now Galway
Okay.
can pull off a result this weekend. It's 6:30 Saturday evening in Breffni Park up in Cavan. For those who can't make it, it's live on GA Plus on Saturday evening. But that is all we do have time for on this evening's show. Thanks to Joe and Seán for coming on to this week's podcast.